Hello, my name is Kevin Polky, and I am the host of The Journey. The Journey is a stories of uh, conversations with individuals who have had their own transformational experience through obstacles that have been in their life, and that they have then used those obstacles as teachers. And other times there are reflections that we may have along of just something that I may be observing, something that may be going on in our community, in the community at large. And so, right now, as I am taping this, and by the time you hear this, it'll be post Olympics, pre fall sports, and for me, my one of my favorite sports or activities is football. So I want to just reflect on um, this idea, as I mentioned, of obstacles and this being able to uh, live within the tension of perseverance and hard work and self discipline that are all aspects of self care, along with also knowing when you need to pull off that accelerator and listen to your body and be aware of where your mind is, that there's this tension or paradox between the two of those, that on one hand, I need to be able to push myself beyond my comfort zone so that I can uh, grow, at the same time being able to be aware of where I need to back off and let my body rest, and that it's a balancing act between those. It can't just be one or the other, because I don't think this concept of caring for myself, self-care, is an easy process at all. um, so I'll use myself, as I do many times, as an example that I've been lifting weights. I'm 52 years old right now. I've been lifting weights since I've been 11 years old, and I would think, or you would think, that at some point it would get easier for me to be motivated, easier for me to go and get my workout in. And the reality is, is that even though I know what to do, and even though I'm very familiar, and that is definitely within my comfort zone of exercise and lifting, um, when that alarm goes off at 5:15 in the morning, um, some days are harder than others to get out of bed, to get dressed and go to the gym and go and put my workout in. That sometimes I just have to tell myself, just do it. The smallest thing of, okay, just get out of bed, just get dressed, just start the stretching process, and it's just doing that next piece, that next thing, that I've noticed, at least in my particular own body, is that some of the discomfort or pain that I've experienced um, has been not necessarily from a particular trauma, but more, now that I'm finding out, is more from an imbalance, and that I have an imbalance in a particular muscle group, and so I have to work to have more balance, regardless if that is working more of my front core to stabilize, to prevent back pain, or making sure that my uh, the strength of my adductors and abductors are equally balanced out. So the inside of my legs as well as the outside of my legs, um, to make sure that they're equally balanced out as far as strength and then functionality. And so these are things that I've learned over time, that I need to do, along with stretching, along with things that I need to push myself through. We think I see athletes and enjoy watching athletes compete, especially at the highest levels, regardless if it's collegiate sports or professional sports or at the Olympics. Recognizing that anybody who has the opportunity and has earned their right, their way to the Olympics, let's say, or to that professional arena, is already the exception. They've already put in hours upon hours upon hours in the training room. They've already done the hard things to get them there, because to be at that level is more than just talent, um, more than just some type of athletic pedigree, that they had also put in that the hard work to discipline themselves and to uh, master whatever activity that is their craft. No similar than, no different than, I mean, in the arts or in other levels of different types of activities as well. So when we see somebody having to uh, to pull out, to not be able to perform, to self monitor and set those boundaries, there's another part of the story that's probably not being mentioned, of all the times that they did push through that pain barrier, either mentally or physically, and for whatever reason now, it's a different scenario where they have to do something different. I was talking to a friend of mine just recently, who plays in his particular activity at the top of that level. And he said, for the most part, we are all the same. There's a very small, fine line between all of us as far as talent or gift or our ability to play. He goes, the biggest piece is the mental component. And so that's what I want to focus on, this other part of the mental component of disciplining myself and being able to say no to a softer, easier path and do the hard things. But then there's also an element of when I need to have the ability to discipline myself as well, from a nutritional standpoint, from a rest standpoint, and then also being able to have to be able to go into that stillness piece, so that I can then listen to my body and be aware of what is the narrative that I'm telling myself, because this also takes discipline, because sometimes being still is the hardest thing that we can do. And as I've mentioned, that's the stillness that I'm referring to, is the stillness in our mind, of being able to have our thoughts, um, to be grounded, and to have our thoughts to calm down, so that we can then be in tune with our creator, be in tune with the earth around us, be in tune to what is going on within our body, so that we can then make appropriate choices of where we can push or where we need to pull back. This is going to be very difficult for us to do if we don't give ourselves a time and a space to be still. That without that, we may just do what the pre recorded tape in our mind is telling us to do: push, push, or it's too hard, pull off, pull off. And either one of those, we need to have that quiet, mental quietness, that stillness, so that we can discern where to push and where to pull back, because it is this constant tension or balancing act between the two. It is something that we're never going to be able to perfect. It is something that's going to be an ongoing process, but with practice, we will get better at being in that space, and also with practice, it will become more and more familiar, that we will long to want to be in that stillness, so that we can discern where we need to accelerate and push further through the hard things, and then when we need to rest and let our body recuperate, and let our soul replenish, so that we can continue moving forward, but as well as being able to uh, savor the experience of being present. As always, I appreciate you being here and listening and sharing any comments, as well as being able to share this content with someone if you feel it might be helpful for them. Looking forward to seeing you next week as well.